a lot of games in Texas.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
So,
but
how many?
Most of these were in the Dallas
different levels.
No
but
doubt.
still, to cancel a game in Texas,
it's gonna be bad.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
I figured they'd be hiding their.
Oh, damn, this season is boring.
Been live for 30 seconds.
Here we go. All right, we're back. That might not be a good movie right there. We're back with another edition of Talking Preps. Guys, how was the weekend?
Good.
This was a great weekend of college football, man. Oh my goodness.
Long as it's
good.
Back-to-back weeks with winning fantasy games.
First year I haven't done fantasy in 15 years. It feels amazing.
Wow. Well, right off the bat, guys, I want to ask y'all about Tom Brady. Did you see it? What did you think? Talk about. Tell me what's up, Coach. What you got? Tom Brady.
I saw it live, and I was so disappointed in the way he was acting. Like, you got to be able to play it off. Like, if you didn't know it was fourth down, he's like looking around it's so funny because I thought he was trying to show how many rings he had, but he needed to put up that. but he's going up the floor. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. You can't do that. But here's the thing. It showed you how much Belichick and how prepped they were in New England. And when he goes to Tampa Bay, they just expect him to be prepped and ready. And it shows that even he can make mistakes if people are not, on top of him.
Grice.
One of the biggest things about Belichick and everything I've read, everything, you see out here is his preparation for game situation type plays. That's always been his things, always, even as a coach, I've tried to identify with. And I think that really shows with Tom going to a new team. You got, COVID, which really eliminated preseason and any, getting acclimated to his new situation. Those are usually the first things you see is just a guy getting to a point to where you're in a key situation and you just absolutely lose, complete thoughts of what's going on. And Father Time's undefeated.
Dale, Gary, kids, you guys got any thoughts on Mr. Brady?
Go
ahead, Kenzie.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but he did put LeBron James' face on it this morning, and he was able to make light out of it. So that was what I thought the best thing to come out of the situation was. So
what did he do?
He put LeBron's face on his body, holding up 4, like, congrats on the 4 championships.
That was good.
Nice.
That is good. See, at least he can. All right, that's good. I mean,
it all turned out okay.
So that's what I was going to say, Kenzie.
I see
whoever relayed the play.
I'm not upset with where he threw it. I'm just upset that he didn't know. I hope everybody understands that. Like, even if they get a first down, they get 4 or 5 yards. I can't remember how much they needed. But if they would have got that, they still had to go a long ways to score. And so pushing the ball down the field, taking a chance. A lot of times it's a good time to do it. Like, say it's 4th and 1, and everybody's like, all right, they're just trying to get the first down. And all of a sudden you do something big and try to go ahead and score right away. That's a good time to do it, but you got to put all your marbles in one deal. You got to have some cojones.
Somebody was on the practice field today, and you can tell it is oozing.
I know, right?
But in that situation,
I want to ask you, Gary, something close to your heart. NC State's 3-1. Carolina's undefeated. Is North Carolina college football turned the corner?
Yes. Both of those teams are full of North Carolina high school players, too. They still have players from other states, but most of them are predominantly from North Carolina. Now, what is your definition of turning the corner? Are they ready to be competitive at a top 20 level? Of course. Are they top 5? I think that might be a little bit overrated right now. But to compete in the top 20, yeah, I think they have turned the corner, both of them.
Mm-hmm. Dale, your thoughts?
I don't know. I'm an NC State guy, and I want to say yes, but and I have no problem with Carolina being up there. I think we need a few more games to see. Certainly, they're Carolina is playing a lot better. But turning the corner, again, like Gary says, what is turning the corner? Not just top 5, but are you there to compete and take the conference championship? So let's give it a few more games.
Come on. I mean, but
let's see.
That's not realistic, though. Like, let's be honest. North Carolina, they're on the map nationwide. Okay, like people know, like, oh, okay, NC State, they got a good program. They're top 25. North Carolina's in the top 10. I mean, that's a big deal. It shows what Dave Doran's done. Everybody wrote him off after last year after having a losing season. That's his first losing season he's ever had, by the way, I think. You could correct me, Dale, if I'm wrong on that. But the thing is, he's turned it around. And then with the same guys, their weight room program's official. I'm more impressed with NC State than I am North Carolina. North Carolina, I thought that they could be undefeated right now with their given schedule. But I don't even know if they had to play Notre Dame or Clemson in the regular season, which makes it easier for them to have a good record. But Clemson, no one's ready to beat them yet. They're a whole different level. Like you're talking about.
They look pretty good on Saturday. Other than Dabo attempting that field goal that got blocked and they ran back and scored.
Oh, he was pissed.
Even Dabo can't mess up.
Carolina and State played. So Carolina and State play in 3 games. Is that right, Gary?
And it's going to be 60 to 58.
Only 24.
Oh, hate on Jay Bateman, man.
What will it be?
It's going to be 60 to 58. Carolina can't stop water.
No, Jay Bateman.
Yeah, but
Kenzie, go ahead.
Carolina played well against Beach.
Hold on, Kenzie. Tell the people.
Virginia Tech was missing 24 starters. 24. They were down significantly at halftime. They let Virginia Tech come back. That's not acceptable. That's not turning the corner. You're playing sucky teams. You're going to win. Congratulations. I'm proud of you. Now, if you want to see some real football, go ahead to the SEC, watch them.
Oh, God.
What's
going on with Mackenzie? What are you doing now?
On fire.
On fire over here.
Mackenzie, do you want to talk about your team getting robbed?
Here's the thing. NC State.
We did get robbed.
Well, NC State's only loss is to Virginia Tech, and they had 24 players that didn't play in that game too. So it shows the camaraderie that they had, that they can win with the next guy up, mentality. And I think that's important in a program. And I think this is the first year that they got rid of the old coach mentality. Now they're taking on the new coach's identity, and it shows how good they are at Virginia Tech. So I don't think they're a bad team. And Jay Bateman is one of the best defensive players in the nation.
Players missing against NC State.
So what?
I don't think that's right. They were missing their starting quarterback.
No, it said it in the game when I was watching the game. It said they beat NC State without having so many players in the game because of COVID.
They were spoken like a pack.
They were missing their starting quarterback. That was the big thing.
Yeah,
and to my knowledge, and I watched the game, he was the only player that didn't travel. But they beat NC State fairly, handily. Yeah. 3 touchdowns, something like that. It wasn't like it was
they can score the rock. I mean,
I'm gonna put Gary in the one shot because this next topic is near and dear to his heart. He's always talking about bad tackling in football. Gary, what do you got to say?
It looked bad in the SEC, the ACC, the NFL. When they placed the emphasis on concussions and protecting players from concussions, they changed tackling techniques. And my last year coaching high school football, we had to take a clinic on tackling, and it's almost like rugby tackling. And there's an emphasis of getting your head out of the play. And when you take your head out of the play, especially at angle tackle, you're putting your head behind the ball carrier or behind his back, then that leads to arm tackling. The other problem with tackling is they don't practice it live because they're trying to prevent injuries. So you do a lot of form tackling at all levels, but it's half speed. And then when you get in the game and it's full speed, these guys are not ready to do it, and they're trying to do it in a manner to protect their head and they end up missing tackles. So you have to ask yourself, do you want missed tackles or do you want concussions?
I'm with you on that. I personally don't teach the new age tackling. I think that you lose leverage. It's all about leverage in football. You got to be able to attack people and then make them redirect. If you got someone just running and he's a better athlete than the linebacker playing inside out, playing on that Hulk tackle type deal on the inside hip, he's just going to run them to the outside. He can't catch them. So no wonder he can't make a tackle. So I think there's a way to do it. Like, I'm not going to teach someone to lead with their head to make a tackle, but I want their head to get across the body further away from, and engage. You always see what you hit. You never drop your head. So you always see the tackle. It's pretty simple.
Exactly.
We got a LeBron. We really got a LeBron James in the background. That's great. I love it. That's
so Brady puts that together.
That's pretty cool.
That's good stuff.
Today, Coach Grice and Coach Griner, CMS finally had the high schools out to do football workouts. What do you guys think of what happened over at Hopewell in West Charlotte? Coach Grice, we'll let you go first, and we'll let Sam's just chomping at the bit. We'll let Sam go after you.
Yeah, I actually lob it to him after this. But, yeah, we actually decided to take another week to prepare and get everything together. So, with us, and I think in our situation, it was okay having a very experienced team, 23 seniors on our squad. And, with the additional COVID precautions, we wanted to ensure that we had everything together. And I think that, was a decision that our head coach made. We all agreed and supported 100%. But I clearly understand that Griner was in a different perspective, in a different situation with a brand new team and having, I'm interested to see the pictures of him wearing his "Hello, my name is" with all his teammates with him. So, Griner, I lob it to you, man. How excited were you? You look like you're ready to hit somebody today.
We just tell the Hopewell kids that we're practicing if they want to practice. It's just right down the street. It's to be able to get rolling. Waiting a whole week after we've been not in football activities forever. That's brutal, but. Coach Bird makes good decisions. I know he had a good plan in place, but our plan was to practice today, and we got after it. I loved it. The only issue is we have one game field that's got construction all the way around it, and we're only allowed 50 people, including coaches. So I had to be creative of how I'm doing practice. Am I doing offense and then defense another day? And then are we doing ninth graders a different day? So we had to get creative with it. But I was very impressed with the kids flying around. I could tell a lot of them hadn't been conditioned in a while and things of that nature, but we worked that out.
What's going to happen over the next couple of days?
Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, Coach, what are you going to do over the next couple of days?
Signed up for the program.
Say it again, Langston.
I said, what are you going to do over the next couple of days?
Signed up to play. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're killing me, Dale.
I was saying, what are you going to do over the next couple of days with your workouts?
So Wednesday we'll do defense only. We did offense only.
What?
Offense only today. We're throwing a ball, believe it or not. I mean, everybody's.
I don't believe it. No.
I mean, we were slinging it. I got that dude at the helm. I got that Josh Mahata at the helm, boy.
Good.
And then Wednesday we're gonna go defense, and then Friday we'll go back to offense, and then Saturday we're gonna do ninth graders only. Okay. And then if I can evaluate everybody, I don't have to worry about the numbers then, and then we can adjust it for the following week.
Dan, what were you going to say?
I was curious how many kids overall are coming out to play.
Mm-hmm. I only had 29 guys today, but that was huge because we have a lot of stimulations to even practice. You have to turn in 3 different forms for CMS. All those kids turn in the form, and they got a new updated physical. Our AD is requiring a new updated physical. They're not going with necessarily the CMS ruling of they granted an extra year or whatnot with your deal. So it's kind of tough for West Charlotte kids because we always rely on the Heart of a Champion where they do the free physicals. So all these kids went to go do that. And I was impressed to see, 29 guys out there today getting after it. And it got me excited because I was worried. I was prepared that we only had like 8 or 9 and I couldn't even run a practice.
That's what we did. We waited a week, Griner. That's kind of, like I always say, I always talk about Hopewell being Title I-ish. We're not completely there, but, I think that was a major concern for us as everyone with the new stipulation, having that paperwork in. I think, your AD Harris is very is on brand with our AD, Brian Burke, about how they're handling things. And I think everybody's being super conservative to have everything done. So we didn't want to be in a situation like you're talking about of just having, a piecemeal group out there and not being able to get everybody there. So, no, I'm right there with you. But I know, like I said, I know you having to wear your name tags out there and make sure you're meeting everybody, their names. Like,
Gary, did you call them a name or did you give them a nickname?
Oh, yeah, this is 834. Hey, come here.
Come here.
How many nicknames today, Brian?
I just name dropped the full name of our quarterback. That's pretty good.
Everyone knows
the only one you can name them.
All conference.
I got Sean Dale, baby. We got Sanchez. We got Elijah. Boy, don't let me. I've been out the game for a year, but I've been studying.
Hey,
y'all do bull in the ring today?
Right. I was like, the Griner did
we went full pads.
Hey, Griner.
That's what I want to know. Did you go full pads?
Okay, no, we ain't allowed to do that.
Hey, Griner, I bet you about 15 kids named Bruh.
Right. Come here, bro.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
Gary, how cool is it though that CMS is actually beginning to work out and back? How cool is that, Gary?
Oh, it's great. I've been helping out with Hickory Ridge basketball, and they started football today too. And just to see the look on those kids' faces, I hadn't seen them. I hadn't been a part of their Zoom meetings because I'm not coaching football, but just to see the excitement in their faces today. Hickory Ridge had over 40 kids, I think, and they were so excited. And then just to look at them and see how much they have grown since last November. Mm-hmm. Even though they haven't had weight training programs, you can tell a lot of the kids have found a way to work out. And, they're already at that age, 15, 16, 17, maybe, where they're still in a growth spurt. So a lot of kids came back at Hickory Ridge today a whole lot bigger than I saw them last November.
Yeah. Well, we're going to transition to kids who are playing real football and talk about our games of the week. We got 2 games of the week this week. Before I get to that, I want to shout out Chris Hughes. You guys don't see Chris here. Chris is going to be off the show, I think, for the next couple of weeks. He'll be back. We definitely miss him, Chris. Safe travels where you're going, and we look forward to getting you back. With that, we're going to drop the theme music and let you guys tell us about the games of the week.
Well, I dropped my green screen so I wouldn't be so fuzzy. So what about this first game? We talk about the private school game, and Kenzie and I got to see Providence Day, and Gary, you got to see Christian.
Yes,
and
I'm looking forward to this game. They've had 2 weeks to recover from any bumps and bruises, and they say you make your most improvement between game 1 and game 2. So I think both teams know what their identity is probably going to be. They've had a chance to hone in to fix some mistakes that were made. I think the key is going to be if the tailback from Christian is healthy. He was a big part of their offense, and then he got injured midway through the Country Day game. He's also their kicker, so that plays into the field position. But I'm looking forward to this game.
So PD has COVID issues, and they may postpone the game this Friday night. We wanted to make sure that was known. Gary, from what you reported from the game last week about the size of Christian and kind of surprising you, and Kenzie, the size that we saw out of Providence Day, they got some big boys, and they got some real hogs on that team. I thought going in that this was going to be another competitive game, and it probably will be because Christian's very well coached. But man, Providence Day's got a bunch of ball players, and if it's as bad as you were saying, as far as again the physicalness of Christian, I'm a little worried about Christian's ability to hang in this game. Kenzie?
I mean, size is definitely going to impact it, but it's also the size of the team. Sounds like Christian has a larger team than Providence Day, and if Providence Day has guys out from COVID, that's going to impact it as well. They already have a bunch of guys going both ways. If Christian can just find a way to stay on the field and rotate guys out, I think it's going to be a super competitive game because they're just going to be able to wear those guys out, and that's going to be the key for them.
Yeah. So they're talking about postponing the game. So Providence Day would not lose any players. The game will not be played. Since they're going to play each other so many times this year, I guess that doesn't matter so much. They both get another bye week. I hope that's not the case. I'd like to see this game take place. And
this is a phenomenon, this occurring all across the country now. We're starting to see the postponement of high school games. Hopefully, like you said, it's not postponed, but it's something that's taking place around the country now. And, I don't know what the policy is as far as how many positives or how long you have to be isolated or quarantined, or does it affect the whole team or just an individual position group or just whatnot? I'm sure they're going to act in the best interest of the kids. I tell you another key thing that we're probably overlooking is how many fans are they going to let in? We went to the Christian game 2 weeks ago, and the only fans that were allowed were the senior parents. So, are they going to allow the fans to come in that game, even if they play?
It's going to be the same situation. This Friday night is a real big game, I believe, between Rock Hill Northwestern and Rock Hill South Pointe. Now, Rock Hill Northwestern didn't play Friday night. They had a game scheduled against Spring Valley, and that game was canceled because of COVID. And just to mention, there's also Rock Hill had an issue as well. But, Gary, I don't know how familiar you are with Northwestern, but they have been like the mainstay of football in York County. Lots of great ball players and great teams, and they're off to a good start. But South Pointe dominating, and from what I've seen, it looks like Northwestern's a running team. Mm-hmm. They have more offensive yards on the ground. It looks like they had a little bit of trouble throwing the ball so far this year. More interceptions than touchdowns, 3-1, and not many yards. 100 and I had that stat. It was 253 yards in 2 games, but they have 2 running backs that are carrying the load for them, both on the ground and receiving. Jalen Chavis and Steve Howard. And I think we know all about South Pointe. They're just rocking and rolling. They had a big, they've had 3 nice wins, 2 blowouts.
Well, yeah, that's definitely a game that no one will want to miss. You have one team that's playing well and one that's had a little bit of time off. So who can ever establish the line of scrimmage, as in the case of most games, I think will have the advantage there. I don't know as much about Northwestern as I do South Pointe, but I know South Pointe has a lot of speed, and if they can establish their line of scrimmage, I would expect in a tight game, South Pointe in the fourth quarter.
I agree. Northwestern, if they're a heavy run team and South Pointe's got that. Their coaches are incredible. They know how to game plan. If you can just stop the run, it doesn't sound like they're going to score too much throwing the ball. So it will definitely be about establishing the line of scrimmage, especially for Northwestern.
So before we go to those guys that are down below us, I did want to mention, because I think it's pretty cool that the South Pointe has the 4A Offensive Player of the Week with their quarterback, who had a great game. He was 9 of 16, 232 yards, 3 TDs. But they also had the offensive lineman was 4A Player of the Week, Ernie Greenwood. So because it's lineman, I wanted to make sure we mentioned that. And
that's unique.
So I think it's a potential of a good ball game, but South Pointe's owning them. What's that, Grice?
No, I said you got to love the linemen. I mean, especially, we look at a lot of the South Carolina ball. You look at a team like South Pointe. They always give us the stars past of Darion Kendrick, and now you got Omega Blake. You got Nabanye Moore coming down from Statesville. But everybody knows it's those unsung heroes up front that are going to be the key. And, that's going to be fun to see with Northwestern versus South Pointe. Can they handle up front? If they can't, I don't think this will be much of a game of the week. But, you guys, thank you, man. Some great analysis. Kenzie, keeping Mr. Doom and Gloom together. Y'all make a wonderful triumvirate. But Langston, man, drop that theme music. It's GRICE'S Gems time. Man, it's one of my favorite times of the week. Monday night, perfect time for GRICE'S Gems. Let's start with one that was crazy. I saw this come across my screen. So we got Shaiki Hardy here, Faith Christian. Griner, you're a defensive guy. The final score was 112 over 88 over Grace Christian. Faith Christian out of Rocky Mount. This kid, I think the last numbers I saw, had 32 rushes, 456 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I think it's amazing. I mean, kid's 6'1", 220. It's beautiful, in private school sometimes when you get that guy that has that D1 type body and you look at some of those kids and he absolutely cannot handle it. I mean, Griner, you've had one of the best running backs in Charlotte history. How does it feel when you got that guy and they can't stop it?
Yeah, that's a great feeling, but I'll tell you what's worse is whoever the defensive coordinators are in those games need to be heavily looked at. I mean, it's a basketball score. I thought
I was like, Gary, I was about to hit you up and say, hey, it was like a basketball score. Maybe he had 32 points in 4 minutes and 56 seconds. I don't know, but it looks like a basketball score.
I thought those were like great season stats.
Right. Oh, my goodness. And the thing with private school, which, Gary, we saw a lot, is these guys don't go out. If they need to hand out water at halftime or go do, stand up sandwiches at concession stands, they're playing offense, defense, special teams. We saw you talk about Rutledge. He played offense and defense, and he was a kicker. So, Gary, I haven't had a back like this that does this so amazing.
Were they playing with flags? Did they have flags around their waist?
I think like New Hope said about Randy Moss, if they were playing with flags, I still think he scores those touchdowns. I mean, those highlights are amazing. Let's switch over. This is some special on the Griner. Keenan Bowman of Nation Forward, the game of the week last week, Nation Forward Gaffney. Have some of the highlights from Football Friday night, as you can see. Credit to them. Had 2 interceptions, 1 TD catch, 4 tackles, 4 catches, a big kickoff return. He did it all, and almost what was the upset of the year here. A special shout out to sophomore quarterback Carson Black. I love great quarterback play. Former GRICE'S Gems last week, 42 of 63. Let me make sure I got this right. 414, 5 touchdowns, and 1 on the ground. So 6 total touchdowns for the QB. But Griner, talk about Keenan Bowman as a person.
I know Keenan Bowman very well. He's a fiery guy. He thinks he's 6'3" and can run a 4.3 40, and he played like it that night. I mean, he's all over the field. In his competitiveness, that's why he has to play offense and defense. He's the back end, the free safety on defense, and he literally leads that secondary, and he got 2 interceptions in the game. That's unbelievable. Balling out. He goes to church, friends with Brahim. He comes over to our house a whole lot, and I taught him like a kid that I would love to coach is Keenan Bowman. He's a special kid, no doubt.
Well, Grice, I want to know, have you ever coached in a game where you had 63 passes? Because it's got to be some runs in there as well. So
our best game. Well, that's the thing too. When you talk about tempo, I mean, our best game last year, our quarterback AJ Simpkins, now at Christ School, we threw 50 times in that game. He had almost 500 yards passing. We actually also did have, I think it was probably 10 to 15 rushes as well. We're moving so fast. We're getting first downs. We're getting chunk plays. we're pushing the ball, running 80, 85 plays. That's one of those situations where you still are getting the runs, but hey, if it's working, I'm like Griner does on the defense with the run game. If it's working, I'm getting these passes. I ain't changing nothing, so it works. But we'll get to this next guy here. And guys, I love swag. I'm a guy. I love guys with swag. We got this video off of Twitter. Lindsey, the quarterback out of Gaffney, one of the best guys out here. You see, that number one gives you vibes of Cam Newton. When the quarterback has the one on him, he's that deal. And this guy shows it. I mean, you look at this pass here, but the more important thing is you got the swag, you got to back it up with talent. 19 of 28, 271 and 3 touchdowns in a tough game on the road in Fort Mill. And this kid shows you exactly what he is. Also had 9 rushes, 57 yards in the score. He can run, but as you can see, man, he doesn't have to. And that's what about this guy. He's a Howard commit. So he's a guy that I think even though he's already committed to an FCS school, he can continue to have a big year as he's doing against top competition. Maybe win a state, maybe get an offer by one of these Group of 5 schools and take it to that next level. Howard's illustrious school with great history and tradition, following in the footsteps of a Kalen Newton, Cam's little brother that was there. But this kid's great. Briner, who's the swaggiest quarterback you've had? It's got to be Brahim, right? Or have you had one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Heem's the greatest. Everywhere he went, people fought him. It was like he was a rock star. And that's what you got to have. This kid's got it. I've actually met this kid before. You're talking about a great leader for a program. I mean, he can do it all. See how he's a lot longer than people give him credit for, I think, too. But you're talking about Gaffney might be one of the most talented teams in North and South Carolina.
We talked about it. Remember, we argued coach versus coach. I told you I thought Gaffney had the opportunity to take him. And, you got Kobe Pacer there this year. He has a big target. He's going to continue to do these things. Gary, were you a fan of the swag, Gary? How were you with your guys? You let your quarterback be swaggy like this?
Hey, if he can do it, let him do it.
Love it. No, but this was probably their first test. So team ready to upset them. So that was big. This last gem is a favorite for me. So this is Nia Harley. I call her my offensive team manager because she loves us. And she's playing for her club soccer team. And bang, that is a shot in the upper 90 from about 25 yards out. She's
can we get a rewind
in this club team against North Carolina Courage. Brian, if I put a ball there, we got to see that again. If I put a ball there 25 yards out, a person about 5 feet away in front, 10 balls I put there. Can you make that shot?
Let me see this right here. I'm gonna let you know.
Stop it right here, Langston. Stop it right here. Boom, there.
No, that's unreal. That's unreal.
I saw this on her share. Like I said, when she shared it, she plays for our soccer team. She does well. Definitely look for her to be playing college soccer in the fall. She's great with our football team. A huge supporter. Her mom's a huge supporter of the program. The girl's got skills.
I had her in class last year.
Yeah, that's it's not just about football. It's about amazing things that I see on a week-to-week basis. Like I always say, at Coach Jay Grice, you see my handle. You got some gems out there that you think people aren't showing. Please send me. Make sure we're aware. Dixon Ford, I'm glad we're getting them. They're tight end. I think last week I call it a fallen gem. He had almost 200 yards receiving the week before the Gaffney game. So we're still picking up even if we don't highlight them. We got some fallen gems out there that are doing big things as well. So like I said, man, I love GRICE'S gems, but I think this next segment, which surprised me actually with the topic, this next segment is also one of my favorites as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fellas, peace on it. Kenzie and I are going to roll right now. Kenzie, tell me about who you met with this week.
I met with GRICE'S guy, KJ Black. Man, he's got some shiny grills in those teeth, and I loved it. He's such a nice guy.
That's great. Yeah, I love believe it or not, I think everybody thinks the mouth guards at West Charlotte are grills and stuff, which I'm down with right now. So I'm all for it, Let's check it out.
Today we're here with KJ from Hopewell High School. KJ, how do you think you're going to play a bigger part in the offense this year now that Julian's gone?
By stepping up and making plays and being able to use my speed to my advantage.
KJ, we also know that you play a big part in the offense. What do you think your best attribute is?
My speed and my agility to go get the ball.
KJ, we also know Hopewell's a big air raid school. We know Grice preaches it. How are you a big part of that air raid offense?
By being able to get open and help my quarterback find the perfect pocket.
Nice, KJ. Also got to ask, why are you a Bulls fan?
Oh, because I'm from the city. Got to rep my city.
All right. Thanks, KJ.
Okay. KJ Black. All right. My boy got a little soul to him. What do
I
you
talk
say,
about
Greg?
all the swag, and I love the swag. I actually tweeted about this earlier. I like to talk about all the swag, and I'm sitting here as a coach shaking my head like he's got these big grills in his mouth right here. I'm such a hypocrite with that. I really am. But
We
no,
welcome
we
that type of
are
stuff.
excited. You know, Kenzie, that was an awesome interview, of course, per usual. I'm excited to see what he can do and have that opportunity.
We welcome that type of stuff. We welcome grills. Just I know we represent.
I get it. I'm a hypocrite. I agree. I say, oh, I love all that stuff. And the first moment I get, I'm like, I send a message to my head coach, like, come on.
I might even get a grill.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
One of these guys do they be like doing something like this?
Yes, do it, Grinder. We'll get one together. Then. I will take you to go get a grill.
All right.
Kenzie, great job.
Thank
It's time
you.
to go to Fresh Faces. You guys are too much.
Called the AKA. That's my baby segment.
All right, Kenzie, this one of yours. Timmy Artis, Hough High. What's up?
Timmy, man, he plays a huge part in this offense, and this offense would not be successful without him. He's 6'4" and 290 pounds, but you would not know it by the way he moves his body. He moves it just as quickly as I would. And I mean, I'm definitely not that big. He's also a leader. So I know with my brother, he stepped up, really led him and made him into the lineman he is today. And he knows exactly what he's going to do, and he knows how to do it, and he's going to execute it to the best of his ability.
He got that sauce, he says.
Yeah,
That's the big difference, man.
Definitely drug us. Goodness, man. He's a hog.
I love O-line and D-line guys. I just love it. I could watch O-line, D-line play all day long. That's a good little, maybe a hold, but a good finish.
You got to sell it.
I
love the uniform combinations, though. You guys at Hough have some really killer uniform combinations. I really like. I like the swag of the uniforms, and this kid can really, really play. He's one of the best big ends in the state.
That is mean. Look at that. Get off. Yeah, that is mean.
That's called.
You gotta love that, and especially with the power encounter and a lot of stuff that Coach Baker does. OC there. I mean, you gotta have a lineman that can move and really be effective.
All right, now we got Stephen Bauerdale of Ardrey Kell.
Inside linebacker, linebackers need to have vision, reaction, and knowledge. And this kid's got all of that. 70 tackles, 5 of them for loss. He's had 2 breakups, a fumble recovery, 2 caused fumbles. I think he hits hard. He definitely finds his way to the ball.
Give me that.
There you go.
That's big time right there.
That is big time.
Like that.
So my video here is real choppy, but
you see the angle he took? That was a great thing. See, that's the thing. See, he does not take on the block. He shoots his gap and he rips and he makes the tackle clean right now. That's how you play linebacker. I love that type of way. Like, you don't engage in linebacker or like the O lineman. He literally just went right through the gap, ripped through, made the tackle.
All right, we got Grice first to 2, Antoine Bell out of Barry.
Yeah, 2022 kid, 6'2", 205. The biggest thing that stands out is his physicality. This is a guy going down the field. You see high points the ball, gets up there, make sure he gets the ball against the corner. He did that against Dub C, of course. But, he's one of those guys that outside he's a physical guy. I remember this play, unfortunately, very well. That's one of the big things you see from him. They felt comfortable throwing the ball deep to him, knowing that he's going to make the play against a much smaller corner there. I see that he already has some interest from some FBS schools, some FCS schools as well. I think to take that next step, he hopefully can continue to diversify his highlights a bit. You see him going deep, catching passes. You see him running, of course, the flies, the post. He's a big body, catching the ball over the middle of the field. Hopefully we continue to see him expand, his route tree and the ability to show that he can run a lot of different routes. That'll be the thing I think takes him from that FCS to that big time FBS level. But as far as from a situation of running deep passes, high pointing the ball, catching it, there's not many better than this kid right here. I think this will be a kid you talk about this coming year, being an all conference guy out of that the conference. I think what is that, the Summit 7. But yeah, he's a guy I really like this year to have a big year.
His ball
skill. They're having really good wide receivers, so it's not unusual for them to have a big time wide receiver. I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
They have a good group.
Who's his offer from?
His routes can get a little better, but he's phenomenal going to get it.
All right, Sam, we're talking about one of yours from your alma mater, Bryce Dixon.
That's right. And you're talking about a big old guy right here. This says 6'3", 280, and he moves like a cat. But my favorite thing about him, if you watch it in all these clips, he engages his hands really, really well, and then he gets off the block. So he plays his technique. He plays his gap control. Watch this right here. Plays his gap control, hands, get rid of it. See what I'm saying? That's big-time football right there because you never know if it's run or pass. You can't just get flying upfield and get kicked out sometimes. You need to engage if that's part of your assignment. He does that extremely well, and it's hard to teach at this high school level because kids just want to shoot gaps and go make a tackle instead of, using their hands first. It's hands, then feet. Hands, then feet. And he's really good at that. Big body, makes a lot of plays. A lot of D linemen don't make a lot of plays. They might get 2 or 3 tackles a game. This guy looks like he's making about 6 tackles a game.
But Butler's well coached. I'm sure he's going to get a lot of opportunities. Brian Hales and those crew do a really good job over there.
Hales used to be a D-line coach when Shaughnessy was there. So, he's big on O-line and D-line.
Oh, Shaq Knight. That was one of the best defensive coaches that have been through here.
We got to get him on the show. You talking about a legend.
We can do that. That's my guy. We can do that.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Best high school football game I've ever seen. South Meck lost to West Charlotte 24-23. Couldn't get the field goal unit on the field in time in semifinals. Corey Hoke is next.
Tyson Clawson, independent.
Tyson Clawson. My bad. Tyson Clawson.
He's a defensive end outside linebacker. And as you can see, his specialty is hitting the quarterback. See quarterback, hit quarterback. What I like about him is he has real long arms and he can long arm that offensive tackle, and he's also good at getting down low, getting under that pass block, and annihilating the quarterback. You can see he pursues very hard from behind the play, so he hustles. He just doesn't wait for the ball to come to him. He'll chase it down the line of scrimmage. He's got to be worried about the reverse, but long arms. Really great at sacking the quarterback.
I believe he's going to Charlotte. I think that'll be a great situation for him to go there.
Right there. That's a big time play. Catching it from the backside.
He makes a lot of plays from the backside.
Yeah, that's hard to do. You got to have a great burst.
Yeah. Got to get motor.
The kid. Okay, now I got Corey Hoke. We're going back to Bryce. Bryce, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Like he's on his huddle, it says 6'1", 170. He looks bigger than that. I mean, here you see a good 38-yard throw. Nice, nice timing, throwing in rhythm. You're able to see through some of these plays. And I love, guys that aren't on the all-star teams and aren't on great teams because you can see their pocket presence. Watch him step up, run to his offside, being a left-hander, and make a throw in the back of the end zone. That is a big-time throw right there that I don't think a lot of people understand. Here we see actually this was during the scrimmage. I actually was here live for this. I think this is when I first realized that Sun Valley may not be, have a great year this past year. You start to see some great things out of this QB. Big throw here. Like I said, that's probably almost a 50-yard throw right there at Rocky River. And I mean, you see that he does a great, job. And again, that's a back foot throw. He's spinning to his offside. And again, they have pressure in front of him. A lot of these guys, like I said, even building at Hopewell, you see the quarterback's resilience is a big thing with them. And I think you see that with this kid here. Does a great job really with these off-platform throws, gets the ball down the field. And I mean, all these passes are right on the money. You don't see receivers having to stop and back up or wait for him. So I'm excited to see what he can do with his senior year. Again, I think East Meck's on the way up. Coach Forsey's still doing a great job over there. I think you see a lot of talent. I mean, this guy, if he can get some time up front, you're going to see him do some great things and make some great throws.
One of the things I like about this segment is that we can showcase some guys that aren't from the Vances and Malik Creeks and the Butlers, and you guys can see how much talent there really truly is in Charlotte. And college coaches watching too, and I know you're watching because I hear from you during the week. But there's a lot of really, really good players in Charlotte like this young man. So keep sending us ideas for fresh faces and for GRICE'S Gems, because we just want to showcase these kids and let our experts talk about them.
And guys, make sure you have your huddle together. It's much easier to talk about you. We can actually watch plays. We don't want to go 5-yard games.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. They call you guys gloom and doom.
We need some wrestling theme music for them.
But I came up with some new topics, Grice, this week that are not going to be gloom and doom. We're going to let them have a little fun. We're going to let Gary talk about his Cowboys a little bit.
That's not fun.
That's
we're going to talk about murder. So let's see what happens when we go to the 2-minute warning.
This has got to be the Gary show tonight, because two of these topics at least are good for you, Gary. Okay. The first one here is about UNC, and so wondering if they're for real, or do you think the defense might be holding them back just a little bit from, we heard that talking or turning the corner earlier. Is the defense going to be what keeps them from turning the corner?
I think the defense is much improved over last year. I think their tackling was bad this week, but I could see marked improvement in the first 2 games as far as their run fits, their pass coverage. But against Virginia Tech, I was a little bit disappointed in their tackling. Sometimes I think they get a little too blitz crazy. Like to see them play a little bit more base defense, but I don't think the defense will hold them back. I think if anything will hold Carolina back is the depth on offense and defensive lines. They have a good starting unit on both sides of the ball, but if they suffer any kind of injuries in the offense and defensive line, that's going to be a real setback. They still don't have that kind of SEC Clemson depth in their line play. Kenzie, what you think?
Well, as an SEC person, I know I was definitely disappointed with the defense, but UNC just brought it to a whole nother level of disappointment when it comes to defense. I mean, Virginia Tech is down 24 players. You're up so much at halftime, and you let them come back. That is unacceptable if you are a top 10 team, period. If you are going to be a top 10 team and claim to be a top defense, do not let that happen. Do not let me see you let that happen, because I will not be happy. But, I mean, their offense is clicking. So if your offense can keep scoring the 50 points necessary that your defense can't keep off the board, go for it. But, your next few games aren't going to be Boston College. So we'll see what happens.
Dale?
When I hear defense, I just thought about that wonderful defense that Clemson played the other night. Defense should be ahead of the offense, and they're not. And we're rolling into the season. They're lucky they're undefeated, so there is time for adjustments and improvements. And you hope the adjustments can make some improvements. But right now, it's going to hold them back from winning an ACC championship for sure. And we'll just have to see. It's hard to say, but I don't think if your defense is there by the 3rd week of the season, there's got to be some major overhauls to change that.
All right, for less football-y topic, one's got to go. The Whopper, the Big Mac, or the Wendy's Square Burger. Gary, what you think?
The Big Mac's got to go. I don't want $1,000 salad dressing on a hamburger. I don't want 3 pieces of bread for a hamburger, and I definitely don't want the little miniature patties that they have on a Big Mac. So it's definitely the Big Mac. It's got to go.
So, Gary, I have to agree with you. There is a time that I might like to have a Big Mac, and I was tossing up between the Big Mac and the Whopper, but I've eaten more Whoppers in my life than I have Big Macs. You know, you get a craving every once in a while, and then you're like, I don't need that craving. I don't need that. So the Big Mac's got to go.
Personally, I do McDonald's maybe once a year. You know, you get that craving and say, well, maybe they've changed, maybe it's gotten better. And then you eat it and it sits on your stomach for about 6 to 7 hours, and you say, oh, I remember why I quit going to McDonald's. What about you, Kizzy?
The Whopper's got to go. Bottom line, I don't like flame grilled hamburgers. I know it's weird. Don't like the char. So you got to get rid of the Whopper, but I don't understand the hate on McDonald's, man. You had those fries. Whew, those things are good.
Now, kids,
the fries were like they were 25 years ago, 30 years ago, before you were even thought of.
That's right.
Yeah, that was the thing. You would go to McDonald's to get fries. You'd go to Hardee's to get a hamburger, and that because our Hardee's and McDonald's were right there near each other. So that was seriously our method of eating.
Kinsey, when you finish college, you'll be through at McDonald's. Trust me. It's just a stage. It's just a stage in life that we all go through. We all are raised as kids through teenage years on McDonald's, and as you get older, you're like, why did I ever eat this? Trust us. Trust us. All right, next question. Yesterday, Dak Prescott broke his ankle, dislocated it, compound fracture. And all summer, all we heard about was, did he deserve the money? Should he have settled for being the second or third highest paid quarterback? And this was before Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson signed their contracts. Word is that they were going to make him the second highest paid behind Russell Wilson, and he wanted more money, and he bet on himself, took the franchise tag. And yesterday, he could have had a career injury to ruin his career. What do you think he should have done, Kenzie?
I mean, we're looking back at it, hindsight 2020. I mean, Dak's offseason was incredibly hard mentally. So to think about, was he in the right space when choosing that contract? We don't know, but he bet on himself. And, I think he should have taken the money, but we aren't him. And that injury is something that I don't think anybody ever expects to happen. I don't expect my ankle to be going sideways anytime soon. So, I should have taken the money, but that's something that we're looking back at 6 months later, and with situations that are very unlikely to happen, and they just did, and it's an unfortunate circumstance.
Dale, what do you think?
It's a gamble. It's always a gamble. Football is. Your next play is your last play, potentially, and that might be his last play. He didn't know that when the time was coming around, and if you can make the money and you've been playing and haven't gotten hurt, as a player, they never expect to get hurt. That's not the thought in their head of getting hurt. So, he's figuring he's going to play years and years and years and years and not have to worry about it. So he did the right thing as far as money is concerned, because he didn't know that was going to happen. So I can't fault him for it now.
I think he should take the money this summer. If you know anything about the Dallas Cowboys, if you're a Dallas Cowboy, especially the quarterback, you're set for life. Texas has no state income tax. You can go, and usually I take at least one trip to Dallas every year to see the Cowboys play. Not going this year because of COVID, but they have these huge tailgates all around Dallas, and there's always former Cowboys there. And that's how they make their living, just going to tailgates, signing autographs. People pay them enormous amounts of money. And if you retire a Cowboy, you are set for life. So between the endorsements, the fact that he'll always make money in Dallas and no taxes in Texas, I think you can go with not being the highest paid quarterback because on the back end, it has so much to offer. Ask Troy Aikman, ask Michael Irvin, ask Tony Romo how much money they made since they retired. And I guarantee you they've made more money since they retired than they did when they actually played. So I think he made he got some bad advice. Last question. On Friday night, the Heat extended the NBA Finals. LeBron was having an awesome game, triple-double, 40 points. But on the last possession, he attacked the basket and then threw it back out to Danny Green, who missed the shot that could have won the title. And so it got extended to 6 games. What do you guys think? Should he have taken that shot?
I mean,
are you Michael Jordan? Go ahead.
I mean, he was wide open. He had option. He could have shot the 3, drove in, gone for a shot in the middle. There were multiple options there with the guy he passed it to. LeBron was covered. It seemed like a great decision to me. I'm not a basketball expert by any means, but I mean, I agreed with the pass by LeBron.
Dale?
Are you the GOAT? Are you the GOAT? What would MJ have done?
Here's the thing. He's not the GOAT, but he's one of the best players that ever played. And I feel like whenever we have the GOAT discussion, it's like we disrespect LeBron James. And I've respected what he did this year more than I've done anything else. He just looks like the best.
I'm not disrespecting him.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying.
I'm not disrespecting him. I want him to take that shot.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying LeBron James is one of the greatest players that ever played the game, and we don't really talk about it that way. We always try to compare him to MJ, and it kind of like makes it look like it's a hate-love situation. MJ is MJ. He's the GOAT. There's a reason why they named the GOAT is because there wasn't even such thing as a GOAT until MJ.
Oh, yes, it was now. Muhammad Ali was the first GOAT.
No, we named him after Michael the GOAT boxing later.
No, it was Muhammad Ali. He called himself the GOAT. But
is it time for the Thunderdome? Is it time for the Thunderdome? That's all.
Hey, that's the thing. Hey, Doom and Gloom had to change. I love it. Hey, you got to start you guys off with like baby steps first to get y'all back into the non-Doom and Gloom. But hey, this segment, hey, Lindsey, go ahead and drop the theme music. Actually, let's start there. Ron, I told him we got to stand in. First off, send love to Chris Hughes. Hope everything's well. Across the pond. Hope you arrive safely. Hope we thank him for everything he does. For us here, for our country, for everything in general. So we do wish. But first, want to say that wish him kind of well with everything there.
He got lean before he went on the trip.
I love it, man. I love it. He's ready. He's in fighting shape now. If something pops up, I got to take my man Chris. But we got to lock the cage. We got a new referee in here, and he better make sure it's all right because we're gonna smash him out the way. Take Langston.
Let me tell you, I'm a substitute for all things. I'm a substitute teacher in Cabarrus County. I'm a substitute teacher in Mecklenburg County.
Yeah,
I'm a substitute coach, and tonight I'm a substitute moderator.
Hey, that's fine. Hey, we're gonna be worse than Trump and Biden and all them.
Yeah.
Our first question tonight. Who you got on Sunday? The Bears coming off a big win against New England or the Panthers on a 3-game winning streak?
Griner, I've been telling you. Teddy, 2 gloves, baby. First place in the division. We asked a question early on about 7 games over under. I told you very early that it was going to be over, and I gave you games that were wins. We're at 3 wins in 5 games. Guys, Teddy had 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, over 250 in the first half. all this tanking for Trevor, and you've got a gym in front of you. That should have been my GRICE'S gym, honestly. That really should have been. Teddy Two Gloves is showing you why he's in this position. The fact that we had no offseason for Rule and Brady, everybody willing to kill him, willing to strike down the season. McCaffrey's done. We're tanking. They showed you why they're in the positions they're in. And now the Panthers are in first place in the division. And really, I like their chances to win the division.
Yeah, I'm on the bandwagon now with the Panthers. I'm kind of impressed. Now, the first 2 weeks when I told them they weren't going to win, they didn't win. And so I was correct on that. So let's just get that correct. We ain't asked about the game since then, and maybe we should stop. Or they're going to like come to a
That's what I'm saying. And it's a great situation. I am worried this week. Anytime you got a bear on that D line, you got a Khalil Mack against this O line. I mean, you worry about him taking over that game, but Teddy does a great job of not committing mistakes.
And that's what Will Greer told me. When I was at the game the other night and we talked about it, I said, "What's your favorite thing about?" He says he's so poised, he never makes mistakes. He doesn't have to push the ball down the field to move the football, and I think he's really good at that. He's probably one of the best at it. Teddy Two Gloves, baby, because he can throw it either hand.
That's the one thing I like about him, though. It's just a situation that, as a high school offensive coordinator, you love the guys that don't make mistakes and put you in a bad position.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had the guy that, can make great plays, but still, sometimes lets that get in his head and maybe makes a mistake while trying to make that great play. And it's such a comforting feeling to realize that I'm going to call a play, even if it's not the right play, the best possible scenario, next best play, the best.
Win a lot more games that way. Matt Rule, man, golly, imagine him.
Baby.
Imagine him with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. I agree.
Guys, I underestimated Matt Rule too. I think he is the biggest factor because you look at these other teams around the league and they've used the excuse, we didn't have minicamp. We didn't have OTAs. We didn't have a normal training camp. And he didn't make that excuse. And they're winning. What is it about Matt Rule that makes him different than the other new coaches around the league?
One thing I'll say for that is that everybody, I know a few guys that played under him or were at Western Carolina when he was there. Everyone swears by him. I've never met a player that's like, bump Matt Rule. Like, even as adults, when you're free from whatever and you can say what you want, no one's ever had a negative word to say about him. Then you look at, when he turned around Baylor, and this is a stat I use, trying to, be a part of a rebuild project at Hopewell. The biggest thing he said that, when he went from 0-11 to 12-0, he said the team core GPA jumped by an entire point. And that was the difference. And that was his defining factor. So when you've got guys that really assess and know how to find a pulse of a team and build them up to be great, that's where you're going to see the difference come out.
Yeah, the difference in him is he holds he's kind of like a Belichick. He holds people accountable, even the coaches. Like I told you last week a little bit that he rips the coach, not rips them, curses them out, but gets on them like, hey, I expect these players that when the player doesn't do something correct, even in the NFL, he's looking at the coaches and hey, what do we got to do to get this better? He's not just saying, what are you doing? You dropped the ball or whatever. You didn't block the right guy or you didn't make this tackle. He gets on the coaches as well, and I think he holds everybody accountable, but he still has a love factor where people know that he's well liked. No one's like, oh, yeah, he's a jerk. No, everybody thinks he's a great guy. Same way, Belichick. If you play for Belichick, you love him. Do you know what I mean? Same thing.
Yeah. Well, guys, our next question is: at some point during the season, usually at the end of the season, we have to pick all the conference teams. And I know in CMS, the head coaches get together at the end of the season and they nominate players for all conference. And then a lot of times the observer will also pick their all conference teams. Who do you think it does best? One of my pet peeves with coaches doing it is you have the coach of the 6th or 7th place team, and he's nominating 3 people at each position, and you're saying, well, if you had that many all conference players, why didn't you have a better record? So what are your thoughts? Do you believe the media should do it or should the coaches do it?
I'm a coach guy. I think that coaches should be involved because they know their players better than the media. Media doesn't get out and know, and except this show, we're really trying to expand that. But the media doesn't really know the type of kids that are at the helm in high school because there's not enough coverage on it. So the coaches need to be involved. But like you said, Gary, like if you're 1-9, you know what I'm saying, 1-9, and you got one or two guys that are like these guys, you know, you're pushing for them, you got a better chance that they might get it instead of you just promoting 3 or 4 guys at every position. You got to be smart as a coach how you can argue your points and see where you can get all conference. But I think it's a big factor because every year I've done it, we've done it with the coaches, and every year the kids that I thought deserved to be on it were on it. The kids that didn't get on it, I never even approach them to even promote it.
Well, I think it could be done the right way. I mean, you know, I could picture Griner in a coaches meeting now. Hey, man, he's a real good guy. You know, turned his life over to Christ. You know, did some great things this year. Like it's not, you know, and even I've heard stories of coaches inflating stats. And you know, you having a guy, and I heard a funny story. A guy's talking about a quarterback. You know, had this number of stats touchdown wise and this number of picks, and a coach raises his hand and is like, hey, well, he had 2 of those 5 or whatever picks. He had 2 of those against me. So you're saying he went 10 games and only had 3 picks? Sounds a little fishy. And so, you know, again, when we talk about that, we have to have, you know, a committee of competent media members, and maybe you assign a group, you know, to a specific team. Gary, I think one of the biggest things that kind of struck me, you know, when we're watching the Christian Country Day game, because we're sitting there watching our GOAT, you know, as far as the media, Langston Wirtz, and he's charting drive by drive on tackles, on plays, on what stuff's going on. And he's sitting there telling Coach Eastep, hey, I want to talk to this guy because of that key pick, because of these 6 tackles, because of all this stuff going down. As a coach, my brain is mush at the end of the game. I'm not thinking about that, you know, but if we have competent, you know, that's always the key, but having competent media members, you know, reduces the bias. They're able to watch games and maybe provide a portal for them to watch film. They're able to see guys make unbiased conference picks, and then they're the ones that actually do this without the coaches getting involved. Another piece of it is
I think the coaches need to be involved. I'm okay with the media jumping in. I think the media, if we had like a designated media person that literally took stats, like official stats, and everybody, I think that we could clean up a lot of the, you know, inflation of stats. You know, like you said,
we set dumb rules, and I mean, I'll speak on our conference. You know, in the IMAC, you know, year 1 when we're in there, the rule in the IMAC is that the conference champion, that coach is named Coach of the Year. I thought Coach Josh Harris did an amazing job year 1 from taking a team I think that had finished last to making them a 6-5 team. That was Mahatha's freshman year. Mm-hmm. He's freshman all conference quarterback, and well deserved. And yet, because of these archaic rules set in there with the coaches, he doesn't win the Coach of the Year.
Well, guys, you know, having been on it on both sides, I think that basketball tries to do it right in that they have a set number that they're going to have. Okay, we're going to have this number. We're going to have say you have 18 conference. You say we're going to have 12 all conference players and a player of the year. And what I find in football is there's too much of participation trophies, so to speak. Let's make sure we get at least this many from this school and this many from that school. And, you know, you look up and you got 5 offensive tackles and you got 3 centers in an 8-team conference. And I'm like, how do you get, you know, 3 all-conference players? You have to make it special. You know, it's not special if half the conference or half the players at a particular position.
If you got 10 offensive linemen in an 18 conference, I think that's reasonable. Like, maybe you should do first team and second team, and then you literally separate the two. Yeah. You literally say, this is a first team guy, the second team guy. I think you could do it that way. But I think that what does it hurt when kids get all conference? Like, does it help them get scholarships? No, it doesn't help them. It's not. It's just all it is, hey, you did a good job. We think you're one of the best. You know, it could hurt them.
It could hurt them, and I, you know, and not the specific deal. Even in our conference last year, 7 of the 8 quarterbacks in our conference made all conference.
See,
Look at the numbers.
Hey,
11 of the 8 quarterbacks in our conference made all conference last year.
This conference gonna have to change some things, man.
But that's what I'm saying. That's when you talk about the coaches, because you got to make sure that little Johnny over here, who may have this offer or these offers, makes all conference. Because if he doesn't, it's not a good look.
All right, guys, let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. A couple of weeks ago, Tyrod Taylor is getting ready for a game, and the team doctor comes over and says, "You ready for this shot?" He has some badly bruised ribs. Maybe they were broken. And the doctor stuck the needle in the wrong place or too deep, punctured a lung. 10 minutes later, they're saying he can't go because he can't breathe. How would you feel about that now? He gets benched because his replacement comes in and has 2 decent games, and the team is the one that caused the problem, not the player. What's your thinking?
If that were me, man, I wouldn't be playing any more football because I'd have sued him for everything he's worth, lost wages, malpractice, everything. But to me, and for full disclosure, like I always say, I'm a 49ers fan. Don't worry about yesterday. Mind your business. That has nothing to do with you. You talk about these situations where we had a very famous one with Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. The big thing for me with this situation is the double talking by Anthony Lynn, and that to me where I have the problem. So he comes out the beginning saying Tyrod's our starter. This is the guy that that's doing well. And the only catalyst he has are 2 games in which Herbert has to throw because they're behind and has to keep up through the air with the other 2 teams. He does decent, but they're 1-3. This is a 1-3 team, and all of a sudden he's riding the hot hand. Well, if he was so hot, again, we talk about with the all conference. If he's so good, why the heck are they losing still? And that's the part for me. The Alex Kaepernick situation was different because Kaepernick came in, the team won. You saw an overall enhancement of everything. This is a 1-3 team that wants to go with a rookie, and now they have a perfect excuse. If that's the case, Anthony Lynn, say that. That's the problem. He won't be honest, and the dishonesty is why it's not handled well.
You gotta be built for the war. Your ribs can't be hurt. If they are hurt, you just gotta suck it up. Weigh your protection. Here's the thing: they drafted Herbert for a reason. What round did they draft him in? Does anybody remember? Oh, so how many round 1 quarterbacks play their first year? The majority of them do. The majority of them do now. And well, here's the thing. He comes in there and he showed throws that Tyrod Taylor can't throw. Like he does things that Tyrod Taylor cannot do. So as a coach, you have to look at that. It was a crazy situation, but everything happens for a reason. Okay.
Oh, that's awful.
It wasn't the coach's fault, but the coaches saw a new guy going in. Now they were going to let Tyrod Taylor run it. They were going to let him do it, but something happened and the doctors jacked him up, but that wasn't the coach's fault. So he didn't get done. The decision to move on to Herbert is a coach's decision. They were not involved in the shooting the shot. They weren't like, come here, let me put this in.
I don't know where Lynn's talking. You might have told him about throw that needle a little farther. Like, that's the crap, Grant. I better never hear you have a quarterback controversy. You sit there and double talk your guy and hurt some kid based on what's going on. Tyrod's been to the playoffs. Oh, he's the reason. Like I said, he's been in there. He's the guy that they brought in to be the starter. Now they get a guy in there. They're still losing games, and all of a sudden it's a convenient time where he says he wants to ride the hot hand. Hot hand. Man, Gary, if this was Dak Prescott with these numbers, you would be all up, down, and through Justin Herbert right now. That is ridiculous. The line by Anthony Lynn has to stop. That is shameful.
Talked to Pep Hamilton the other day. Talked to him on the phone. He said Justin Herbert is like the real deal. He has extreme talent, and he's showing the talent. No one's ever got excited about Tyrod Taylor. Oh, yeah, he's at the helm. Like, he's not Teddy Two Gloves.
You were talking about Teddy Two Gloves for you.
Tyrod got hurt. Teddy Two Gloves got hurt. He was already an elite guy. And I thought Tyrod Taylor did pretty well for the Bills, but then he just never could get over the hump. Now look at Josh Allen with the Bills. That sucker is killing it, if you want to talk about somebody dominating.
All right, guys, let's go on to the next one. Who's the bigger surprise? 2-1 York or 2-1 Catawba Ridge? Sam, you go first.
It's definitely York. Now, the reason is this. After I saw York lose to Catawba Ridge, I'm thinking there's no way they can win the next game because the first game they didn't look like the better team, and they end up screeching out the win somehow, some way versus Indian Land. So I was like, my goodness, what is going on with York? Like, York's supposed to be a better football team than this. But when I end up finding out that they won this past Friday, I was surprised, and that's what it says, bigger surprise. I was surprised. I wasn't surprised that Catawba Ridge was 2-1 because we knew that they were a pretty good team. The only team that they didn't think they were going to lose to is the one game South Pointe. Everybody knew they were going to lose to South Pointe. You know what I'm saying? So the bigger surprise is definitely York. I didn't expect them to win that. Maybe the coach gave him, win one for the Gipper because he needed it. I don't know what happened, but yeah, something did.
No, but it's the Copperheads for sure. I mean, you talk about a startup program. This is the first year they have seniors. I mean, it's you're starting a lot of kids that are young. Coach Lindak, really galvanizing that group. First game with playing at South Pointe. Again, that was a 31-14 game. That's a situation. You look at what South Pointe do. South Pointe is boat racing every other team that comes in their face, and it's not even close. So for that score to even be there, and for them to even score 2 touchdowns, is very, it shows you a lot considering all the other teams they're playing. They go into York, and again, we know, and more than anybody, Griner, the history of York, and they go out there and throttle them in a 15-0 game where they show that defense again. Holding South Pointe to 31 points, regardless of it, plays called back on penalties or whatever, looks really good as these weeks come on and South Pointe continues to beat the absolute heck out of everybody. So, then them beating the absolute mess out of Lancaster, which is still a struggling team trying to build and get back to where they used to be. But 41-0, that shows you exactly at 2-1. This program is one where you've got to consider one of the top 2 or 3 teams in this area. And we weren't thinking about that with the program. York's a program that's always here consistently, and they should be in that same talk every year. Catawba Ridge and Coach Lindak is showing they're a team to be reckoned with, and they're showing that right now. This was something that's supposed to happen 1 or 2 years later.
We knew that they were a good team on the verge in the preseason. When we saw them in their scrimmage, York, after the game 1, I was like, what are they doing? I feel like they got enough athletes to make some plays, but they were not making plays. And
they're losing. We barely saw any time with their best player, that receiver, Deshaun Brown, number 1. Did he play? I don't think he played. No. Because I saw, like we always joke, this time of year, joke, whatever. But starts in the Bible verses, you're always worried. It's something, pretty serious. So I think he may be out for a couple weeks, maybe with that knee. I know we were on the sideline, we saw him go out. But I think when they get him back, that's when I think we'll see York kind of really show what they can do.
Oh yeah, but
let's hit our last question. Best Clemson.
Trying to treat us like kids in the classroom. Don't ever talk to us, Gary. It's coach versus coach. You're the moderator. Let us talk when we're done. Like,
hey, about the bad kid in third period. On the same side.
We're not on the same side. No, I think Catawba Ridge. I shot them some bail because their best player is not there, but hey, treating us like substitute kids, man. I gotta go to the bathroom. I
thought I'm a substitute moderator.
I see.
I'm getting ready to put you in timeout.
Mute him, Gary. Mute him.
This ain't around the horn of Tony Real over there.
All right, last question, guys. Clemson's getting a lot of credit for having probably the best wide receivers in the country over the last decade, but now they're also getting known for their tailbacks. Who is the best running back in Clemson history? Is it C.J. Spiller or Travis Etienne?
It's clearly Travis Etienne. And I mean, you think, again, Spiller, of course, was started. I'll always show Griner's favorite program, the respect it deserves. Spiller was one of your first ones to truly come in there as they were, kind of going on the map. But for Travis Etienne to do that after Clemson had been established as one of the national powers, with quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence already in place, getting so many yards, see what Etienne's done. I mean, you talk about a season or career not finished. He's already almost at 70 touchdowns, 5,200 yards. He's had the best college quarterback in the biggest big-time games, and he continues to surprise. He continues to take it to the next levels. I mean, watching him play in Miami, he's like an NFL kid that decided to dress up for one game. I mean, it was night and day the talent level that he exhibited beyond anybody else, and I thought that was amazing to show. And I love C.J. Spiller. He's one of the first running backs from Clemson I got excited about. That's Etienne, and it's not close.
Sam?
Lindsey, I saw you popped in. What you got to say about this?
I 100% I agree with Grice, and that's probably going to be one of the only times I ever say that. This guy's a dog. He goes so well, runs so well. I mean, he runs like Alvin Kamara, and it's incredible. He's got incredible balance. He breaks through tackles with ease, but he's also so graceful on the outside. After he breaks those tackles, or if he's going out on a sweep or something, he runs like an Emmitt Smith, Alvin Kamara mix, and I don't even know what to think of it. But I mean, I love this kid. I love what he's doing.
All right, I'm gonna switch the game up right here. Okay? Switch the game up. I'm supposed to, really, after I watched that game Saturday, ATN is the best ever. I'm telling you. And it's hard for me. I have to say, I was like, he had an extra burst. Like when I saw him looking like he should get tackled, and then he burst even more. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Now, the only thing about CJ Spiller is he started this show. The reason why ATN probably came there was because Spiller probably called him on a recruiting trip, and that's why he did. So he paved the way. And don't forget, he was the 9th pick overall in the draft. That's huge. If ATN goes in the top 10, that would be very impressive. I don't think he'll be a higher draft pick than CJ Spiller because I don't know why, but he's special. Now, he's a better team. CJ Spiller played on a lesser team than what Clemson is today. So there was more people loading in the box, so it was tougher on CJ Spiller. So you could make that argument, but after I saw that game Saturday, I saw that. Yeah.
So I want to say, it's funny giving people a quick behind the scenes look into what we do to prepare for the Coach vs. Coach segment. Langston always gets us together and tries to talk about topics, and it's like, we agreed. It's like, Spiller, Etienne, we're like, all right, both sides. And then the Miami game happened.
Yeah.
I was just
I was like, yep. Okay, ATN's the best.
Never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Dale, what do you think about this question, Dale? What's on your mind?
I was thinking about back, and I was a big Ellington fan, but you watch that ball game Saturday night. That kid has got everything. He's got more than that extra motor, as Griner was saying. I kept thinking that's a better Herschel Walker. I felt like he moved. He's maybe not got quite the bruising that Herschel had, but darn if he didn't run over people and run around people and run past people. And I love the kid.
CJ Spiller's
it's hard not to
kid.
like that kid.
Is the real question this: does Clemson have the best 2 players in college football?
Yeah.
Oh man, quarterback and running back.
And they're
right now, yeah, but everybody's not playing yet. I mean, you got Justin Fields. If Mac Jones has 4 or 5 more games like that,
there's nobody in that Friday night playing football conference out west that should be in the conversation. First of all, now the Big Ten, Justin Fields.
Not with these 2 guys.
Justin Fields.
I mean, think about the level of like the Ratley. Is it Ratley, the Oklahoma kid? What's the kid's name? Yeah. We went against him in the All-American, coached against him. He did absolutely nothing in the game. He's starting for Oklahoma, who's been in the championship games, right? The final 2 games, 2 out of the last 3 years or something?
Playoffs,
yeah, playoffs. So. And you're talking about Trevor Lawrence, who's on a whole different stratosphere than the guy that's starting at Oklahoma right now. Do you see? It's a crazy
another universe.
But Mac Jones, different. Mac Jones might get an invite to New York, man. I'm telling you this right now. I mean,
that sucker looks like Tarzan. I mean, Trevor Lawrence looks like daggone Tarzan. Like his joints are so long. Like he's just a monster.
No, he's special, and that's why he's going to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Dale, when they were talking about all conference, you were in the back room sending some texts out. I'm talking about the all conference. Is it too political? Are there too many players being named? I just kind of tell the people what you're talking about.
I wish it would go back the way it was when I was in high school and quite a few years after, and that was you did name. You had a first team, you had a second team, and you had honorable mention. And I would like to see it go back to that versus a whole bunch of linemen that in some conferences, it doesn't work out to 2 teams. It works out to 3 offensive lines maybe, or it works out to, like Grice said, man, how can you have so many quarterbacks? You can only have 2 all-conference quarterbacks. That's the guy.
Hold on, there are 2 conferences.
But isn't it right? Isn't it if the quarterback's player of the year, then you can have 2 separate, or is it only still 2? I think that's the rule, right? That's what I expect.
No, they name a quarterback, and then if the quarterback's player of the year, they name another quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, they could do that.
But we have two conferences, Grace, that name just about everybody that starts as an all-conference player, and it's out of control. It's almost like I don't want mom and dad calling me, so I'm going to name these teams. Now, granted, we do our team on Christmas. Won't be this year because they're playing after Christmas. But I mean, my phone rings or my text message all day long. Why'd you leave this kid out? My kid. It's a tough thing, and I get it. But at the same time, you should not have, 30 offensive linemen on all conferences. It's
a tough balance though, because like coming from a program that isn't one of the perennial names, like I've been screaming since his sophomore year that Julian Gray was going to be one of the best receivers out here, but it's like, oh, you're at Hopewell and you're not going to have a lot of wins, and it's like people are going to be late to the party. I told people what he was going to do 1,200 yards later, 4-star second receiver in the state later, like. You have that struggle with the media with bias, and I think that's where Langston you get unintended enemies because it seems like you're just talking about the big people all the time, and you're just talking about the programs that are always there, which I get. I mean, you have a job, but I think that is one area where I do lean with Griner, which for purposes of our argument I couldn't articulate. It just sucks because you do have coaches know, like, man.
When we do our all-star teams, we send a questionnaire out to every coach, and then they return it. And then we talk to college coaches. We talk to all the high school coaches. Yeah. We talk to 50, 60 people, maybe more, before we name a team. And we try to find those diamonds in the rough. And it's sometimes difficult because a lot of times if a kid has a big-time recruiting profile, he may not have the year that this kid had, but everybody's going to think he should be on it because he has the big-time recruiting profile. But this kid over here may have had the better year. And to me, that kid who had the better year should be on the team over the high recruiting profile guy that didn't have a good year.
That with some media where, like, if a kid is steered towards Carolina, that they're going to select this person. I've seen that, and I can actually point out with bias and show that. And it's like, that's where it gets tough, where it's like, nah, let me just keep the coaches in the room that actually know what a 4-2-5 defense is and understand run fit. Like, that's where you kind of get that feeling sometimes.
Well, for me, like I said, I'm about who had the best year. If you had the better year, I think you should be on the team. Not necessarily because you're the kid that's going to school X, but that's me.
And if you look at it from a basketball standpoint, you have at the McDonald's All-American game, if you commit to Carolina, Duke, Kansas, one of those schools early on before your senior year, you almost guaranteed to be in the McDonald's All-American game, even though there are a lot better players that get overlooked because they didn't commit to what the so-called blue bloods.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a bump when you commit. Go ahead,
so Langston, you've had I know of one particular instance where the all-county team had a player on it that didn't make all conference.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I don't know. I think there's too much politics.
No, I mean, all conference. To me, all conference the guy. It's not.
Here's the conference.
Sam, what you guys pick shouldn't necessarily be what we pick. It's just a guy.
Exactly.
But why? I disagree. Like if we're looking, if our metric of good is different, that is a problem.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm not going to just name our team based upon your all-conference team. I'm not going to do that.
I do understand your point.
I'm not going to do that. We're going to do our own research, our own, checking into it. And we send guys, we cover 8-9 games a week, so we have a lot of eyes on games.
I've been a part of that process with Langston.
Sam did it last year.
It's a very thorough process. Like you're talking about 3 to 4 hours of really getting in detailed information after we've already gotten emails from everybody. And
we met so long last year that Sam ate 2 buckets of oysters. It's a true story. And then his wife came in and bucket oysters.
My point, though, Langston, is that there is politics, and I hear about these all-conference meetings, and I've had enough ears in those things and feedback back to tell me what's going on, that there's too much politics.
There is politics.
Sometimes coaches will not vote for a player.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of that. I vote for my kid, you vote for this kid. Yeah, there's a lot of that. But I used to think they should have like a committee that does it, but if you're not on the committee that year, your kid might get hurt. I have had conferences in the past ask me to name their all-conference team for them. I've done that sometimes. So we've done that, but I don't know what the solution is. All I can tell you is how we do our thing, and I think it's pretty thorough. And I try not to have any politics in it. If we do, I mean, you're never going to make everybody happy.
You
never will. You never will. And I think Dale's got
it right. The same way, Langston.
Say again, Dale.
They should nominate, and then let a group, nominate to you, and then you do the same kind of methods to pick out of those players that are nominated. And
it'd be kind of cool.
You name your first team, the second team.
Yeah, if the IMEC take their nominations, let the Southwestern coaches pick the team. And the Southwestern coaches take their nominations and let the IMEC coaches pick the team.
Bro, I disagree there because we watch a ton of film. Well, it's not just that, but it's like you watch a ton of film. Like I know, like during the week we play Griner, we're gonna be watching hours of film on each guys. We're gonna be putting together profiles. So I know between these two guys, I know defensively, Griner's got a great linebacker. You may not know about him, but he does his job well. He's the one that's really affecting the plays.
Right, that's great, but don't turn an all-conference team with 50 players on it.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's a coach problem, though. That's
right. Yeah.
The coach has got. There's some non-intelligent guys out there.
Oh, here we go. Sam, don't get yourself in trouble.
I've already got a text messages. Like, hold on.
Football, so Sam has to go. So we're gonna put Sam in the one shot. Let him give us his final thoughts.
All right. All I know is that we're back at the helm, getting after it at the Dub C. It's just a great feeling. They got construction all over the place, but that field is still there, and we were able to get on it. And I didn't have to, for the first time, do lines. I was so excited about it because I was like, man, we got hashes, we got numbers, we got everything. We're good to go. So it's just good to be back, and look forward to practice again coming up soon on Wednesday.
All right. Well, guys, this is a very spirited show. We are trying to be cognizant of our time. It's 8:30. I know everybody wants to see the Monday night game. So thanks, guys, for coming on. Say again?
Oh, no, we don't. It's 1-3 versus 2-2. Panthers in first place no matter what.
Watch him. I can't wait to him light it up tonight. I'm going to be like, Grice, told you.
I want to see the team doctor on the sideline.
Watch the team doctors, but yes, touchdown Herbert.
All right. I'm Langston. That's Gary. That's Grice. That's Miss Kinsey. That's Dale. That's Sam. We're talking preps. We catch you next Monday at 7.